Good morning. I am standing at another great running location in Waco, the Cottonbelt Trail. So this is a 2.5 mile paved trail that has 3 access points. One is off of Harris Creek Road, that's the other end. The middle intersects with Old Lorena and Church Road. And then this point where I'm at is at the landfill site off of Hannah Hill Road. So you can access this trail at either one or any one of those 3 stops, and it's 2.5 miles one way. So you can get in a good about 5-mile run. It's mainly flat, but there are a couple of hills and is good for running as well as cycling. So while we are here, I figured that we should talk about the landfill, which is right behind me in this other direction. So this is the city of Waco's landfill and has been around since the 60s and 70s, has kind of changed hands and become an official landfill with the city of Waco. It is permitted through the TCEQ, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, which helps to ensure proper disposal of waste and ensures that all federal regulations regarding landfills are followed. So this landfill is actually expected to reach capacity in about 5 years. With the growth of the Waco area and let's be honest, how trashy we have rapidly filled up the landfill and are expecting that it's not going to last that much longer. So the city of Waco is actually currently working on the process to permit a new landfill. As you can imagine, it is a really large challenge because nobody likes having landfills around them. Nobody wants them in their backyard. Which can be really an environmental justice issue because if you think about it, we all create trash, right? We all create waste that end up at this landfill, but only some people end up having to actually live next to the landfill. And so the people who are living next to the landfill are kind of experiencing a greater burden of that waste production than the rest of us who produce that waste that ends up here. So there are a lot of challenges with looking for places for landfills. People don't want them next to them. The underlying topography also needs to meet certain criteria to ensure that this waste is not going to end up contaminating any surface water or groundwater. So because the issues of landfills are, let's be honest, controversial, let's talk about how you can be a part of the solution. So when we look at the composition of landfills, about 30% of waste in landfills is compostable, and another approximately 40% is recyclable. Think about it, a lot of this waste in these landfills doesn't actually need to be here. It can be composted or recycled. But we are not the most responsible stewards of waste. We tend to create a large amount of waste and not think about taking the time to compost or put stuff in the recycling bin. And that ends up having a negative impact because these landfills, like I mentioned, are controversial, but they're also very costly. This isn't just a hole in the ground that stuff is tossed into. These are specifically engineered cells. Every single section of this landfill is designed into what's called a cell, which is basically an engineered hole with a specific liner to ensure that as that trash decomposes, none of that trash juice, so to speak, which is called leachate, ends up getting into our groundwater supply or off this site. And so that's a very expensive process. A lot of these cells may cost $2 to $3 million for a single cell. And so they can be very, very expensive, which ends up costing the city and citizens more money to dispose of that waste. So in order to really help address this waste problem that we see, not just here, but really everywhere across North America, think about ways that you can reduce your waste stream coming to the landfill. So if you are a City of Waco resident, Waco provides trash bins and recycling bins and green waste bins to all citizens for the same price. So you're not paying any extra for a green bin, which is for brushy waste, or any more for a blue bin, which is recycling. So if you don't have those bins, make sure that you reach out to the City of Waco. They have a form on their website that you can fill out, or you can send in a request through their Waco app to request those bins get delivered to your home. A lot of other municipalities in this area also provides very similar comparable services included in your waste charge. So make sure that you have those bins and that you are taking advantage of those services. So make sure that you are recycling and that you're recycling properly. The City of Waco has a app where you can look at what can or cannot be recycled. You can also visit their webpage and try and reduce as much waste as possible from coming to this landfill. That helps to ensure that the lifetime of this landfill is extended, and waste production is just not very good overall. Anytime that we put waste in our trash bin, there's a chance of it not ending up here, but also out into the environment. We see waste kind of escapes from bins that get left on the street. Sometimes when the garbage truck is dumping that dumping that bin into their truck, sometimes it escapes. So there's basically every mode or entity that's touching that waste, there's an opportunity for that waste to escape and become litter or pollution. So the less waste that we produce overall, the better for our environment. Also think about how you can reduce your waste stream up front. So look at packaging. Are there options for groceries that you buy that may cut down on packaging? Can you get reusable bags to take to the grocery store to prevent from having to buy reusable bags? You can probably see on a lot of these fences in the area, there are a lot of plastic grocery bags. They are very easily carried away from the wind and cause a lot of pollution issues. And as that plastic decomposes, it gets caught in a lot of vegetation, it gets into our waterways, and eventually it'll break down into microplastics, which can be ingested by organisms or by humans. So this trail is pretty neat. It does run along the landfill for a good portion of it, probably about half to a mile. And you might be thinking, well, gosh, I don't want to run next to the landfill because it smells. It really doesn't. The landfill does not smell that bad. Actually, what generates a lot of the smell out in this area are sewer lines that also run parallel to this trail. And as those lines vent, that's what causes a lot of the kind of decomposition smell that you can smell while you are on the Cottonbelt Trail. And this is a wonderful trail. I hope that you learned a little bit about the landfill and our Cottonbelt Trail and are inspired to come out and visit it for yourself one day.